Alright guys, welcome to today's class. Today we're going to start a new lesson about geometry now. Alright, let's start. Problem 1. The measures of the three angles of a triangle are 8W degrees, 5W degrees, and 2W degrees. The measure of the largest angle of the triangle is how much greater than this measure of the next largest angle of the triangle. So notice that we know that W is going to be positive since all of these are in terms of W, and there's no way if W is negative or zero, it has to be equal to somewhat positive. Why? Because the sum of the angles of the triangle is 180 degrees, right? Keep that in mind, right? Now we have 8W degrees plus 5W degrees plus 2W degrees is equal to 180 degrees. Combining like terms, you can do 15W degrees or is equal to 180 degrees, right? And then doing division, we'll get to W equals 12 degrees. Right? But that's not the question the question wants us to do. We want to find the measure of the largest angle of the triangle is how much greater than the measure of the next largest angle. Right? In this case, the largest angle in this triangle is 8W followed by 5W. This then gives you 8W minus 5W is the difference, or 3W. So now we're just tasked to find 3W. Right? Since that's the difference. Well, 3W is just 3 times 12, since W is equal to 12. And then you have 36 as our final answer. Alright. Now let's move on to problem 2. If x divided by y equals k and k is greater than 0, what is x divided by x plus y in terms of k? Alright, how do we approach this? How do we approach this? Well, notice that, first of all, we state out the important information. X divided by y is equal to k. So, and we know that k is greater than 0. Right? Now, we're going to find what x divided by x plus y is in terms of k. So what can we do with this information? Well, maybe we can think about the reciprocal, right? What does the reciprocal help us do? Well, if we just flip it over, we get x plus y divided by x instead of x divided by x plus y. Alright? Now, what does this help us with? Well, we can split it up. This is equal to x divided by x plus y divided by x. Clearly, you can see that we can't do this in the normal fashion, so we might as well split it up to help us get an easier picture of what it looks like. Well, what is y divided by x? Well, y divided by x is just equal to 1 divided by k. Since x divided by y is equal to k, if we take the reciprocal of it, that's just y divided by x equals 1 divided by k. Or you get 1 plus 1 divided by k, since x is equal to x, and x divided by x is equal to 1. Now to simplify too, if we combine the fractions and the numbers, you get k plus 1 divided by k. Now this is what x plus y divided by x is. And remember, we took the reciprocal of it. Alright, so we want x divided by x plus y. So we reciprocate this one again. We get k divided by k plus 1. So the answer to this question is just E. Alright? Now let's move on to problem 3. A fruit salad is made from pineapples, pears, and peaches mixed in the ratio of 2 to 3 to 5 respectively by weight. What fraction of the mixture by weight is pineapple? I'll let you guys have a try on this question and tell me answers through chat. All right, let's get started with this question. So clearly, it's a ratio between 2 to 3 to 5, all right? So what is the total number of parts? Say we have pineapples are 2 parts, pears are 3 parts, and peaches are 5 parts. That's a total of 10 parts, right? Total of 10 parts. So what else do we get from this? Once we have 10 parts, we have 2 parts as pineapples. So we get 2 divided by 10, or 1/5, or the answer is A. Alright? I also went to problem 4. If A is not equal to 0 and 11 divided by x is equal to 11 plus A divided by x plus A, what is the value of x? So let's get them trying this question and tell me the answer through chat. Private message, please. All right, let's get started with this question. So we have if a is not equal to 0 and 11 divided by x equals 11 plus a divided by x plus a, well, then what is the value of x? All right, there's sometimes tricks to solve this, but I want you to understand the intuition and how you would solve it if you didn't remember the tricks. All right, so let's just start the good old way to solve this. All right, 11 times x plus a and x times 11 plus a. All right. We get 11x plus ax is equal to 11x plus 11a. Alright? But would you look at this? These almost look the exact same. Alright? And we know that a is not equal to 0. Alright? Let's see what it tells us. It tells us 11x plus 11a. Oops. Yeah. Oops, my bad. A is equal. Alright. Hold up. Oops, I get mixed. I accidentally got mixed up. Yeah, it shouldn't be 11. It should be AX instead. Yep. Now we have this, right? We can cancel out the 11x and we can get 11a is equal to AX, alright? This is just telling you x equals 11. This is pretty simple from here. Since a cancels out, and get x equals 11. Or C as your answer. Alright? Now let's move on to problem 5. Bill made 21 out of 25 shots in a recent basketball game. What was his shooting percentage for that game? Alright, so how do we approach this? Well, we convert it into, in order to get a percent, we convert it into out of 100. 21 divided by 25 can be made into 84 divided by 100, or 84%. So the answer to this question is just C. Alright? Let's get started with problem 6 now. The temperature in Boston is now 50 degrees Fahrenheit. If it drops at a steady rate of 4 degrees Fahrenheit every 3 hours, in how many hours will the temperature drop to 38 degrees Fahrenheit? Let's go try this question and tell me answer through chat. All right, let's get started with this question. So the temperature in Boston is right now 50 degrees Fahrenheit. All right. We want it to drop to 38 degrees. Well, we just need to find the difference. All right. So if you drop it three times, if you drop it three times, it'll be plus four plus four. The total drop is gonna be 12. This does give you 38. All right. All right, before you press B as your answer. Note that it says every 3 hours. Every 3 hours. That's a key thing. All right. If you didn't read that, you would end up losing this problem using this point. All right. Make sure you read this question. A steady rate of 4 degrees Fahrenheit every 3 hours. And how many hours will the temperature drop to 38 degrees Fahrenheit? Well, it becomes simple from here. Well, the answer is just going to be 3 times 3 or 9 or D. All right. Let's move on to problem 7. The scale of a map is 1 centimeter to 50 kilometers. How many centimeters represents 225 kilometers? Well, let's go try this question in terms of the chat. All right, guys, let's get started with this question now. So the scale of a map is 1 centimeter to 50 kilometers. Now we want to find how many centimeters are in 225 kilometers. Well, notice that 5 kilometers is 250. 5 times the 50 kilometers is 250 kilometers. That's 5 centimeters. And 4 centimeters is going to be 200 kilometers. So it's between 4 and 5. And from here, you can just guess it's 4.5. But if we do the math, 225 divided by 50 is equal to 4.5. Exactly. Since you got an extra 25 divided by 50, that's 1/2. or 4.5. Right? Now let's move on to problem 8. Potatoes cost $1.75 per pound. How many dollars do 4 pounds cost? I'll just gonna try this question and tell me the answer to chat. Alright, let's get started with this question. Potatoes cost $1.75 per pound. How many dollars do 4 pounds cost? This is just 4 times 1.75. Or 4 plus, we got a 75 part. What does that get you? Well, 2 times 0.75 is $1.50. Multiply by 2 again, that gives you $3. And total is $7. Or C. Alright? Now let's move on to problem 12. The ratio of length to width of a rectangular room is 4/3 and the width is 8 and 7/10. What is the length? I'll take another try this question and tell me answer to chat. Alright, let's just start with this question. The ratio of the length to the width of a rectangle is 4/3, and the width is 8/7. Alright. This is, if you confuse this length, it says 4/3 and width is 8/7, you're wrong, right? So please do not confuse that. I just got confused in the first time looking at this question. Alright. Now, width is 4, which which is also 8/7. Alright. What's the ratio between this? Well, the ratio between it is 8/7 or 87 divided by 10 times 1/4 or 87 divided by 40. Right? If I'm correct. Do the 4. So if it's 8/7, 8/7, oops, then it should be 3/4 of it, right? So this is 4, or it should actually be 3/7 if I'm correct. So we have the ratio to be 3/4. If this is 87 divided by 10, that's 4. Then we divide by 4 and get 3. So that'll be 3/4 of it. Alright? And that should be 87 times 3 divided by 40. Or 261 divided by 40. That should be the right answer. If I'm correct. Oh wait, oops, my bad. It's the wrong ratio. My bad. I'm sorry. That's the wrong ratio. That should be 4/3. So don't confuse the ratios up, alright? That's the important part. 4/3. And this is 8 and 87 by 10. Now this makes much more sense. So now from here, 87 by 10, this is 4/3, right? 4/3, right? So to get one part, being divided by 3, to get 29 divided by 10. Multiply by 4, you get 58 divided by 5, or D as your answer, alright? Now let's move on to example 13. Find x if 2x minus y divided by 5 is equal to x plus y divided by 10 or equal to 3/5. Let's consider the trying this question in 10 minutes to chat. Let's get started with this question. Find x if 2x minus y divided by 5 equals x plus y divided by 10 equals 3. This is just a system of equations, alright? First of all, you get 2x minus y is equal to 3, and x plus y equals 6. Obviously, from the bat, if you compare these equations and this equation, right? This itself is a system of equations, and let's solve it. If we add both of these two equations, we get 3x equals 9, or x equals 3. Pretty obvious, and then you can get y equals 3. And x is just 3, since we already found out x is just going to be b, or the answer is just 3. Now let's move on to example 14. If y divided by x minus z is equal to x plus y divided by z is equal to x divided by y for three positive integers x, y, and z, all different, then what is the value of x divided by y? Let's consider trying this question and tell me answer through chat. All right, let's just get started with this question. So basically, if y divided by x minus z is equal to x plus y divided by z is equal to x or y for three positive integers x, y, and z, what is the value of x divided by y? Right? Notice that it cannot be one since it's all different. So now we're left to compare x plus y and z is equal to x divided by y divided by x minus z is equal to x divided by y. Let's see what we can get off this. We have y divided by x minus z equals x plus y divided by z. Seems like it has nothing. It's basically very hard. It's like a three-dimensional equation. I'm too lazy to solve these. What can we do from here? Well, we can see that if we consider this equation, get x squared plus yx minus zx plus xy is equal to, yz is equal to yz. And then you can get this is equal to 2yz. It doesn't really help us. So maybe there's a better way instead of going through all that messy algebra. What is that way? Well, if we consider guessing and checking, why is this good for us? Well, a reason why it's good because we can write y in terms of x and absolutely simplify this equation. Say it's 2, okay? X is equal to 2y. That would give us 3y plus z is equal to 2. Now, what does this tell you? Well, it tells you y to z is equal to 2/3. Or y, or x equals 2y. X is 2y. Now we have z is equal to 3/2 of y. Alright, let's see if it works over here now. Plug it in. If we plug this in, uh, y divided by x minus z, that would be y divided by 1/2 of y, or 2y. 2 is equal to x by y, which does work. And then if we plug it in for x plus y divided by z, if we do this one, this gives you a 1/2 y on the bottom, y on the top, or when this one's on the bottom, that's going to be 3y and 3/2 on the top. That would be 2, and the all equate out. So we guessed it right. So the answer just to this question is just 2, or D. Alright? Now let's go on to example 15. Three numbers A, B, and C in the ratios of A to B is equal to 3 to 4, and B to C is equal to 5 to 6 have the sum of 118. What is the values of A, B, and C? All us guys are trying this question and telling us through chat. All right, let's get started with this question. So A to B is 3 to 4, and B to C is 5 to 6. We can write it in terms of B, since B is in both equations. So C is equal to 5 6 of B. Okay? Since 6C is equal to 5B. Right? And similarly, you can get A is equal to 4/3 of B. 3/4 of B. 4/3 of B. Alright. Now, using these equations, we can add all of this up. We get 8 6, which is just equal to 4/3, plus 5 6B, plus B is equal to 118. Or you could have just guessed and checked to see which criteria matches it. 5 6B, well, that's just uh if we add this all up, you get 13 over 6, 19 over 6B is equal to 118. Alright? This is right, if I think. I'm pretty sure. 8 plus 5 is 13. Plus 6 should be 19. Yup. And this should be equal to 118. Alright, what are the possible values? When we look at this, notice that B has to be divisible by 40. By 5. Clearly. What else can we get from this? Well, looking at this, B has to be divisible by 5 and 6 at the same time. So what has this both? Well, at least has to be divisible by 3 at some sort. Alright? That's what we need to know. And you can just do your calculations. Alright, say we have B is 30, right? Let's see what happens when B is 30. B is 30, then we get 25 for C, and about 5. 30 divided by 5 is 24 for A, which doesn't sum up to 118. We want to make this happen. And clearly, all of these basically sum up to 118. Now, we want to see which ones have this. This is true, right? Let's see. If we have B equal 40, we have B equals 48. Well, let me see. A to B is 3 to 4, so we have A is equal to 4/3 of B, if I'm correct. Since 3 A's is equal to 4 B's, that's what it's saying. Similarly, B5B is equal to 6 C's. So B is equal to B is equal to 6/5 of a C. Or C is equal to 5 6 B. Yep. Now from here, notice that this means that B is equal to B is gonna be 3/4. My bad. B is 4/3 of B. So it has to be divisible by 6. That's what it's needed. So now we can just plug in and check. Sorry about the mess up. We can just plug in and check. So, for example, if B is divisible by 3, then what if we let it be equal to actually divisible by 6? B has to be. So let's see which one. If we analyze E, that will get us 5 6. That would be 36 divided by 6. That would be 6 times 5 is 30. Alright, maybe let's just look at this one. Or one that has an increasing sequence. Alright? So you want to form 4/3 B, 5 6 B, and B. Alright? Alright, we should sum up to 19 6 B. Or it should be sum up to 19 6 B. Alright, let's see which one works. Alright. So B to C should be 5 to 6. This looks like 5 to 6, and this look like 3 to 4. No, it doesn't. Alright, let's look at it over here. 15 to 20 to 83. Is this 5 to 6? No. Hmm. Oh, this should be 6 to 5, I think. Yep. All right, so this is 3 to 4, and this should be 5 to 6. It looks like, right? Let's add it up. 40 to 48. Yeah, it's 5 to 6. If we divide by 8 on both sides, so from here you get B as our answer. Just a simple, but it gets in check, and it just takes a lot of casework, and you make sure you don't like mess up on these questions since the cancer can by kind of be tricky and throw you off. Like for example, what I did here is kind of going around in circles, and it takes a while to figure out. Some of the questions, most of the last 5 questions are basically like this. You just go around these questions. You might get in trouble with one of the problems, and then you can't find a way to solve it. And it seems like your method, which is actually right, is wrong. So you must have made a mistake. So you gotta check your answer and check your method and make sure it's full and there's no incorrect mistakes. That's gonna throw you off from your answer direction, right? Now let's move on to example 16. Machine A can fill one box of nails in 6 minutes. Machine B can fill one box of nails in 9 minutes. They started to work at the same time and they stopped also at the same time. In total, they filled 100 boxes. How many were filled by machine A? Well, notice that they started to work and they stopped it at the same time. Now, we want to have the sum to be equal to 100. So notice that machine A does it in 1/6 of X in 1/6 of a box in 1 minute. And 1/9 of a machine B does 1/9 of a block in 1 minute. So in total, we have in X minutes they have done a total of 15 divided by 54 X times, or 5 over 18 times 5/18 of X. Say they have X minutes, then the total works is gonna be 5/18 of a box, and this should be equal to 100. So we multiply by 18 fixed by both sides, we get 360 is equal to X, right? Now plug it in. A can do it in 1/6 per minute. That'll be 360 divided by 6, or 60, or D as your answer, right? So that's it for today's class. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye.